Welcome to the Introductory to Copywriting. During this video, you may choose to pause it in order to take a few more notes as needed. Let's get started. For sale, baby shoes never worn. What do you notice about this copy? Would this stand out amongst the other classified ads? Do you think you'd remember it the next day or even the week? Remember, copyright needs to be short, concise. It has to capture our attention and leave a lasting impression. Legend has it that this famous 6-word story was written by Ernest Hemingway himself. Whether it is true or not, this one simple sentence turned into a masterclass in ad copywriting. It's short, it captures our attention, and leaves a lasting impression on the reader long after they turn the page. This is the same kind of effect advertisers and marketers like you and me want when creating copy for our ads. Whether you're a professional copywriter with a decade of experience or someone like yourself who's never wrote a line in their entire life, this guide will give you 16 tips for writing killer ad copy and using real-life examples that you can use as inspiration. So there are a lot of examples that I'm giving you. So our learning outcomes, of course, we want to define copy, explain the purpose of it, recall 4 facts to keep in mind when writing it, and discover 16 various techniques you may use. All right, so here's your definition. Ad copywriting is the act of writing copy specifically for advertisements, including display ads, flyers, posters, billboards, social media ads, mobile ads, and so much more. The length of your copy depends on the amount of space you have on your creative. But in general, it should be very short and hopefully merely a few words. All right, our purpose. The role of a copywriter is to create copy that is catchy, unique, and memorable enough to get your target audience to connect with your brand. Remember, we always talk about how important the target audience is for everything we do in marketing. Okay, so we want to connect with our brand, whether it's by clicking on the call to action, visiting our website, making a purchase, or following you on social media. Copywriting is one of the most exciting yet challenging jobs in the field of marketing. It's fun to play with words and develop ways to capture people's attention with a single sentence. But it's also extremely difficult to condense the 10-page description of a product in 5 words in such a way that it stands out amongst the myriad of ads individuals see every single day. All right, so here are our foundations for copywriting. So number 1, know the hook of your product. I'm sure you have a favorite song, and I'm pretty sure it became your favorite because you couldn't get a certain part out of your head. Whether it was the chorus, an intense verse, or the extreme catchy intro. That part convinced you that this song is special, that it just has something that none of the other ones have, and it deserves a place in your playlist. That's the hook of the song. And just like the hook of your favorite song, the hook of what you're offering, whether it's a product or service, is instrumental for your brand. You need to be clear about what makes your product unique, what it is about it that makes it stand out and worth your target audience's time and money. Why does it deserve a spot in their minds as well as their daily lives? Once you know what makes your product unique, you'll be able to focus on that hook and come up with numerous ways to emphasize it in your copy. And one of the best ways to figure out the hook of your product is by taking the next step. Number 2, you have to study your competition. When you have a product or a service you want to get out into the world, it's always important to look at what else is out there. You want to know if someone else has already thought about your ad, and if they did, how did they go about it? Is it similar to yours? Can you do something to make the product even better? These are important questions that need to be answered so you can have an easier time developing your product and your marketing plan. So in this example, if you want to sell kitchenware, you need to check out what other brands are out there and what you can offer that they can't. Is it low prices, nicer designs, better durability, and so you can see the 2 products I put on this page. Knowing your competition will help you figure out the hook of your product better. As discussed in the previous step, a good hook leads to a more focused copy and hopefully more sales. Besides, your target audience will compare you to your competitors as well. They won't just take your product and run with it. They will most likely put it in a list of options and come back later. If they do. So studying your competition can help you anticipate people's questions or concerns. Number 3, know your audience. Researching your target audience is a step that should never be skipped. We often come up with the ideas for product or services that sound useful to us, but they're not totally valuable for our audience. And if they are valuable, there could still be a feature or two that miss the mark. Let's go back to the kitchenware example. Maybe you want to sell measuring spoons that have a luxurious look and are more durable than those of other brands. But maybe your audience isn't interested in measuring spoons. They would rather purchase mixing bowls. After all, the spoons can be quite useless if you don't have bowls to put carefully measured ingredients in. You want to always be aware of your audience's needs and how you can answer them. This can only be achieved through proper research and lots of communication. So, hand out surveys, check the social media profiles of your followers, review Google Analytics, contact your sales team for more input. There are tons of methods you can use to figure out your audience's needs. Depending on your research plan, this step can take a few weeks or even months, but it's imperative that you do it. And then number 4, know the platform and medium. As you're making print ads, are you making print ads or display ads? Are you advertising on Google, LinkedIn, or Facebook? Depending on the medium and platform you're going to use, you'll have to adjust the sizes of your ads, which in turn has an effect on your copy. Just a side note, we've been using or teaching you guys how to use Adobe Express, and it will automatically prepare your ad for the various platforms. Remember that each platform can go through upgrades periodically, and their ad specifications can subsequently change, so make sure to keep an eye out for them. If you decide to dive into print ads, you want to add their sizes and placements to the equation as well. All right, so now we're ready to write. Let's look at headline, description, and CTA, call to action. As a rule of thumb, your ad copy should consist of those 3 items. And they each have their own specific role. The headline, of course, we've learned will grab your attention's audience. A description introduces your product or service, and CTA, known as call to action, invites your audience to gain something significant. Consider these 3 as the skeleton of your ad copy that you can build your words on. Don't be afraid to have fun and write multiple versions. Sometimes all you need to do is switch out one word to get a copy that converts. Another suggestion is to start by handwriting all your ideas. If we went to Google handwriting versus typing, there are over 13 million results. And both of them have their benefits. When it comes to ad copywriting, you'll definitely want to take advantage of handwriting. Writing by hand allows your brain to slow down and think your ideas through. A clearer thought process helps you come up with the more creative ideas, which can, of course, help you write an interesting ad copy you'll be proud to publish. Of course, we'll start with handwriting and move on to typing. All right, so here are our 16 tips for helping you write ad copy. Number 1, avoid clickbait. It may sound odd to begin a list of things you should do with something you should never do, but this one bears repeating. Anything that is misleading, exaggerated, or alarming should be avoided when writing an ad copy. All these messages do is cause negative feelings for your audience and destroy the trust in your brand. It's not worth risking these 2 for the sake of a few fast clicks. Clickbait can be especially tempting when you're just starting your business and when you're just about to launch your new product. It can be quite satisfying to see an immediate buzz, but it dies down very fast and has lasting effects on your brand's reputation. So just don't do it. 2, focus on the benefits, not the features. It makes sense to be excited about all the cool things your product or service does. How different is it? How great it looks? How much easier it is to use than others? The problem with this is that it places emphasis on the product when it should be on your audience. Whether you're talking about buying a new smartphone or signing up for the subscription service, people are rarely attracted to the fancy features. Instead, they're attracted to the benefits it brings them. When your audience asks, "What's in it for me?" you want to be able to give them a convincing answer. But what if you were tasked with writing an ad copy for something that sounds boring, or at the very least, its benefits are just not captivating enough? Then you might find this step more useful. 3, imagine your life without the product or service. As the old saying goes, you never know what you have until it's gone. A quick search on YouTube will show you hundreds of love songs about it. This rings true in ad copywriting. If you're struggling to come up with a captivating benefit for a product or service that will make people click the CTA, try taking it away. Imagine what life would be like without your product or service. More specifically, what would your customer life be like? What would they be missing out on? What would they be struggling with that your product could fix? By figuring out how much harder it would be without the thing you're advertising, you will have an easier time coming up with the huge benefits. And once you know the benefits, you'll be able to focus your copy around them. Notice how the headlines here start with Samsung, we've got your back. This ad anticipates people's needs related to the smartphone and steps forward with reassuring words. Of course, you don't have to use these exact words to be emphasized and reassuring. You can also go ahead and address your audience needs and concerns in a different way. Speak with empathy. Number 4. It's just as important to empathize with your target audience. Your primary goal should always be to help them resolve a problem and or satisfy a need. You want to put the focus back on them by reassuring them that what you're offering will help. Emphasize to emphasize. Of course, in order to do that, you have to know your audience's needs. Only then will you be able to formulate your words in such a way that it speaks to them. So again, looking at Samsung, it's offering a 1-year smartphone warranty as an example. Notice how the copy starts with, we've got your back. This ad anticipates people's needs related to their smartphones and steps forward with reassuring words. Of course, you don't have to use these exact words to be empathetic and reassuring. Number 4, speak with empathy. You can also go ahead and address your audience needs and concerns in a different way. So, First Midwest Bank, this ad does this simply by effectively by starting with a question that is already in people's minds and offering them a solution. How can you take a risk in the Quad Cities without risking it all? Emphasizing with your audience helps you offer the solution they need and increase trust in your brand. Number 6, write a 6-word story. In the introductory, start with the famous 6 words commonly attributed to Hemingway. What if I told you that you have the chance to write a cool Hemingway-esque story too? We're going to pause here because I want you to write a 6-word story for a product or service you're advertising. So this is a great little activity. So let's go to our next slide. You can see we're going to use the products for Stanley. And I took a thermos. You can see my picture of the thermos. And I wrote hot coffee, cold hike, perfect day. So I want you to look at these other 5 products, or you can do thermos as well, and I want you to write a 6-word story. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, here are some more examples that I wrote for those 6 products. You can take a look at those. Now let's go on to number 6, write an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is a common concept in the film industry. The idea of it is that if you had only a few seconds to pitch your idea to a studio executive, from the moment you press the elevator button to the moment the doors open on the next floor, what would you say? Just like a 6-word story, an elevator pitch forces you to focus on only the essential information and challenges you to deliver it in a captivating way. Enough so that the studio executive looks at you and says, "Tell me more." Just like in the case of a 6-word story, don't be afraid to have fun with this exercise. Let your creativity go, and you might just see a shining idea you'll be eager to use in your ad copy. So now let's practice this again. You can see we have the 6 items as well, so you may pause. Well, let me show you my example. I took the water bottle, and I wrote, "Stay hydrated on your longest runs with the Stanley water bottle. Designed for endurance, it keeps your water cool and your spirit unbroken." So now it's your turn. So pause the video so you have a moment to write an elevator pitch for one of these products. All right, and here are some more examples for each one of the products. Hopefully yours was better than mine. Number 7, open with a question. Nothing breaks the ice better than a good question. It's one of the quickest ways to get someone's attention and get them to engage with you. So you want to take advantage of it when you're writing ad copy. You do need to be aware of what sort of questions you're opening with. You can't ask something completely unrelated to what you're trying to offer because that steps into clickbait territory. You also don't want to ask invasive questions that do nothing but make your audience feel uncomfortable. Instead, what you want to do is read their minds. You can do this by either asking a question they already have or addressing one of their needs or concerns in the form of a question. Best case scenario, the response will sound something like, yes, I actually was thinking about that. What do you have for me? Take a look at the following examples from Spotify, Insenberg School of Management, and United Health. Notice how all 3 of these ads promote completely different services in different industries for completely different audiences. Yet each one manages to capture interest just as well as the other. They all open conversations with their audiences using questions that reflect their needs. And if you need to pause here a minute, go ahead. Number 8, action verbs. If questions were the best icebreakers, the second best one are action verbs. Action verbs have the power to stir curiosity because they prompt people to act. You're inviting your audience to do something, to join an activity that has a good outcome for them. These outcomes can be discovering an innovative product that will change their lives, finding out about a service that's highly useful, or meeting a brand that aligns with their values. Keep in mind, though, that not every action verb in existence is good. You don't want to start your ad copy with words like stop, run, or listen. These are alarmist and clickbaity. So here's a list of some action verbs up there. And now check out these examples from Chase Bank, Calvin Klein, and HBO Max. Earned, action verb, a 750 bonus. Experience the magic, or receive. Explore the best holiday gift ideas. So make sure you're considering action verbs. Number 9, numbers. Have you ever been told, I won't believe it until I see the numbers? Or maybe it sounded more like, I have to see the numbers first. We are wired to trust numbers. Whether we are talking about a country's birth rate or the percentage of people who prefer green tea over coffee, numbers give us a clear picture of what is going on around us. Seeing the numbers allows us to ponder a subject and make a better judgment. So, why not use them in ad copywriting? If you're offering a discount, don't just tell people there's a discount. Tell them exactly how much it is. Don't just say that most people choose your service. Tell them what percentage of the population exactly chooses you. Like in the examples from American Express, save $250 on your vacation package, or Nokia, our technology connects over 90% of the U.S. population, or the all-in-one plan. So even when you're using only one number, as long as it implies something positive for your audience, you should put it in the copy. Number 10, using you or your. It goes back to one of the most basic rules in marketing. Instead of talking to an entire crowd, talk to one person from the crowd. The word you and variations of it make your message more personal. A more personal message will make your audience feel more special. They will feel like you see them and you're not just part of the crowd. Look at these 2 examples from Too Faced Cosmetics and Oreo. So they're using your favorite snacks delivered or formulated to make your makeup better. The rule of thumb is to check whether you can replace the word the with you or your in a way that makes sense and see if it has a stronger effect. So take a look at these 2 ads. Notice how by just switching one word, the copy sounds more personal. Would you agree that the second version is more clickable? Number 11, word mirror. As the name suggests, word mirroring is when you say back the words that someone uses. It's an extremely useful technique in marketing when you want to address your audience's needs and capture attention directly. There are two ways you can mirror your audience's words. The first way is to gather all the reviews and study what words your customers and clients most use. See what are the most common things they're satisfied with and advertise them. Want an even easier way? Just use your favorite reviews as your copy, like what CeraVe did in this ad. The second way you can mirror words is by doing some good old keyword research. Yes, it turns out they're not just good when you need to make your articles SEO friendly. They spoon feed you what your audience is looking for, so it's worth including them in your ad copy as much as possible. And so we see this quote here. Number 12, unleash your inner poet. So we're going to talk about puns, rhymes, and alliterations. Just look at what Ben & Jerry's came up with regarding their puns. Talk desserty to me. What's non to love? Here's rhymes. They're a fantastic trick to give your ad copy a pleasing and memorable flow. Use them wisely, and your target audience will be singing the same song. So look at these examples from Starbucks. Nice on ice. Orioles, the thin, sweet bite to end the night. And finally, the blue bear for healthy hair. Remember, the endings of the words don't need to be written exactly the same way to create a rhyme, but they do need to sound the same. And finally, alliterations. Just like rhymes, they give your copy a nice rhythm. Once again, Starbucks takes the cake. Brilliantly balanced, surprisingly smooth. Number 13, let's tap into their senses. You may have heard of speaking to your audience's emotions, but have you heard of speaking to their senses? Sensory words have the power to conjure images that we can feel. Why just see a word when you can also hear, smell, touch, and taste it? This will make your audience experience your product before they even get their hands on it, thus raising anticipation and chances of saying yes to it. So check out this tempting description from McDonald's. Sizzling sausage, crispy bacon, melty cheese. The answer to breakfast is yes. Here are some examples of words you can use in tapping into the senses. All right, number 14, connect with the ego. After speaking to people's emotions and probably their senses, it's a good idea to try and reach their ego. We tend to associate the word with expressions like having a big ego, but the ego itself is not as negative as it is often perceived. It simply has to do with self-esteem, the belief that you're important and that you deserve to feel special. So why not validate your audience's emotions and make them feel special and important? If you're wondering how this can be done in a couple of words, look at these examples. This one from Pandora is particularly clever because it also taps into another natural attraction we all have, stories. This ad takes that up a notch and places emphasis on your story. The idea is that you're in control of your own story and you have the power to say it or wear it as you wish. That's a pretty nice ego booster. Samsung's ad says that an idea as big as yours deserves a big screen. Once again, you deserve this product because you're special. And Premium Beats ad plays with the idea of exclusivity. They are very selective about the entries they get because you deserve something extra special. The standards are so high because you deserve only the best quality music for your projects. Notice how all of these examples convey the notions of special and deserve without outright using those words. That's because they don't have to. They're saying just enough words to let the audience connect the dots. A copy that allows you to think, even for a couple of seconds, is more impactful and memorable. Number 15, fear of missing out. We love feeling special, but sometimes we also want to be part of the crowd. And FOMO proves that. How many times have you checked out a TV show or a movie simply because everyone else was talking about it? When was the last time you were tempted to read a book from the bestseller section? FOMO is powerful, and with the right words, you can leverage it. Make your audience curious about your product and service because they want to know what the hype is all about. Have them wonder if there is something great that they're missing out on, which will prompt them to click that CTA button to find out more and possibly make a purchase. Cosmetic brands in particular really learned how to leverage the power of FOMO well. Take a look at these ads. Using words like fan favorites or cult favorite really cements the idea that you're talking about a product that is hyped up for a good reason. And if you add a number to your copy that specifies how many people were satisfied with, like how Urban Decay's ad specifically the overwhelming number of 5-star reviews, you can strengthen your argument even more. So there we go. Fan favorites, cult favorite, and of course, our reviews. And finally, number 16, be topical and relevant. To be topical means to reference or discuss a topic that is relevant and or important in relation to current events. Being topical can effectively entertain your audience enough that they give you extra clicks and shares, with a little luck, extra conversions. But it's one of the trickiest things to get right. If you want to be topical, you need to make sure that the current event you want to reference can seamlessly blend into your message. Your audience can tell if you're referencing something just for the sake of making a reference. So make sure that whatever copy you come up with does not sound forced. You also need to make sure that you get the timing right. Trending topics are constantly cycling through the revolving door. Your audience might be bored of a topic by the time you publish your ad, so you need to ensure that your ad copy is ready to be published in a short amount of time. Most of the time when people talk about a topical ad, they usually envision ads that reference political events. Although these can be hot topics, they're not the only type of subject you can pick. You can go for a widely celebrated holiday, like the Fanta did during Halloween in 2021, or even the cold weather as per Taco Bell's example. Finally, this is just a list of tips and tricks that you can go through. And you can reach your conclusion. So, checking for understanding, what is a copy? What is the purpose of a copy? What are the 4 things you should consider when writing a copy? And what are the best copywriting techniques we discussed today that you'd be interested in trying out? And now you'll move to your assignment.